Notion might have one of the cooler updates that are around that we didn't really know we needed. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. That would be rude, says the guy who makes multiple videos on how Notion sucks. So when we think on Notion and how to get status properties to showcase, usually if I make a database and do a board view, this is usually what we're used to, right? The sort of in progress, not started and done, but in this sort of view. But recently Notion decided to say, hey, what's up? It's me, Notion, and I'm gonna make a property that's that, but just a little bit better for whatever reason. And the point of it is the select property doesn't really have like a standardized sort of naming convention. And from what I can tell, when you go into the new status property, it at least gives you a few different sections, which is to do, in progress, and complete. By having this versus the select one, it breaks down the property into multiple different sections and at least would have some standardization across any Notion account. So in order to make it whatever you want to view in the layout, just go to layout and you can do group by that status property, and then group makes it the 3 ones here as I was talking about, where it's like to do, in progress, and complete. What you can also do with the status property is edit it so that you can see it as a select or as a checkbox. So the unique thing that happens here is when you turn it into a checkbox and then go here and then properties, show the status here in the board view, you'll see that we got the option to click on this guy and then it moves it to the end here. Whereas you can also just move it across like this. Now, if we move this back to select, then we're not going to be able to like check it off. We're just going to be able to click through it like this. In the checkbox view, when you move it to the in progress section, it'll give you this in between dash. Now, in practicality for projects, this has a lot of different ones that make sense, at least in my book. So for me, I've always used this, what I call a status property, for the different parts of my editing process in my content calendar. But if I go here and edit this property, you'll see that it is not in any section, and that doesn't really help me out. So what I could do is I could go here and go to edit property, change this to an actual status property. And then if I move these different ones into the different sections, I'd be able to have the different parts of my process right here. So this is the default one. So I could take this and get rid of it and set this as the default, so that anytime I'd make a new page, start with default, delete this. So then now when I click on this, I know that this is the different stages of what's going on. In progress is really creating and editing for me. To do is more the research and outline and writing sections. And then complete is, pretty much rendering and afterwards. So if I wanted to take something like this, for example, give it a little checkbox option, that could be something interesting here. So if I untick this, you'll see it goes back to idea by default. And if I check this, it'd go to rendered. So it's all about figuring out what would make sense for you and your workflow, but at least this organizes it in a way that is a little bit more digestible to somebody who may be new to your team or just not used to this kind of status property in general. But going back into the example one here, if I go to this board view, I can actually group it as shown before by the option or by the group. So if I go to this and change the example database we have here to the master content calendar I had, if I move it to make this layout a board view, and then I can group it by the status. And then here you have the option to, further from that, go here and group by the group itself, which would be moving it back from all these to do, in progress, and complete, or as you saw before, the option. Now from there, you can actually do something else, which is subgroup them by the status. So if I, for example, subgrouped by the different statuses here, if we went in here and I want to change the group to status by group, and then I have these subgroups here, you'll see that there are the different phases that can be put in here as subgroups. And I quickly can actually see the fact that I have 35 videos scheduled. And then I have a lot of different ideas, and I have a couple in the writing phase. So this is something else to put in your back pocket for when figuring out things like content calendars or project organization in general. And if you like organizing things, just check out this video. There's a video somewhere where that's going to tell you like, hey, it's going to be good to be organized with the video.